evening this evening. I'm not speaking to you from Abuja, Nigeria. I'm speaking to you from Okila village, states of. And right here at Okila. So I'm speaking to you from Okila, Edo State. So thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Chris Uloko. I'm the founder of Safe to Speak Initiative. So I encourage you to subscribe and follow our page so that you're never gonna miss any aspect of our session. So thank you very much for being part of this vision. I love you and I look forward to having a great conversation with you right now. Now, today we're talking about discrimination. Now, this topic, discrimination, was actually born from one of from a safe to speak family member. Should I put it that way? It was born from a safe to speak family member reached out to me from Malawi. She reached out to me from Malawi and she shared her story how she was discriminated against. And I thought it wise that I was going to bring this conversation to every one of us so that we get to talk about discrimination. So it's going to be an exciting time. I'd like you to stay connected. Don't go anywhere because this is an important topic that affects everyone. If you have never been discriminated against, perhaps a family member or so, but one way or the other, we've all faced discrimination in life. So, how do you handle discrimination? What is discrimination in itself? So why do people discriminate against others? What's the reason for discrimination? So these are all the things we're going to be talking about this evening. So it's very, very important. It's very, very important. Don't say this is not affecting you. It's affecting you. You may likely face more discrimination as you push forward towards your vision, towards your goals in life. Affect us, things that affect you every day, things that affect people all over the world every day. These are the conversations we bring up, and we want to have these conversations not just in the name of having these conversations, but we want this conversation to be able to build us, to be able to guide us becoming better persons. So I'd like you to let us know where you are watching us from. If you are watching us from any part of the world, kindly drop it in the comment section. I'd like to know where you are watching us from. As I said, Safe to Speak, it's a growing initiative, and we're looking forward to building a database of every member of Safe to Speak from whatever country in the world you are reaching us from. We want to be able to get connected with you, and we want to be able to make you an ambassador representing Safe to Speak in your country, in your community, in your location. So we are looking discriminating? Why discriminating? So my message to you today, if you are discriminating against anyone, you absolutely need to turn a new leaf. So I like to hear from you. I don't want this conversation to be one-sided. So if you want to share your experience on discrimination, you could drop a comment, share this page, and subscribe so that you don't have to miss any of our session. All right. At Faith Wanjiku, I hope I got that pronunciation right. You said God first. Absolutely. At Godwin Esther, I see you. You said I, hello. I trust you. You're doing well. You're doing well. I'd like you to lend your voice to this all important conversation. So when you discriminate against people, what happens? It makes people feel less of themselves. It makes people feel less of themselves. But then I want to say to you, if you are discriminated against, you don't have to feel less of yourself. You know exactly who you are. Don't allow anybody to turn you down or to tone your importance down. No, you don't have to allow anyone to do that to you. So they can only try. But what happens is how you react, how you are able to manage it. As we progress in this conversation, we'll be looking at when you are discriminated against, how do you manage it? How do you react to discrimination? Very important, because take it or leave it. We all have faced discrimination one way or the other in our lives. And I'm sorry to say that we are still going to face more discrimination, more. As long as you have a genuine goal that you are pursuing, as long as you have breath in you, you will still be discriminated against. It is what it is, and that is life. So, how do you handle it? If you have been discriminated against in the past, how did you handle it? I'd like you to say something in the comment section. I'm expecting your comment. I'm looking right at it now to hear what you are going to say. So, tonight conversation, it's not just about knowing what discrimination is, or discussing or why people discriminate against each other or against others. Most importantly, we want to look at how do you heal from discrimination? How do you heal? How do you pick up yourself when you are discriminated against? When people make you feel less important, when people make you feel less of yourself, how do you handle it? How do you handle it? How do you react to it? So it's about healing tonight. How do you heal from it? How do you recover from it? So while we make progress in this all important conversation, I would like to hear from you. And I will also ask a question. How does discrimination feels? Everyone listening to me now, I know and I'm certain that one way or the other, you've been discriminated against. Sometimes discrimination, it doesn't matter how powerful you are. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter how spiritual you are. It doesn't even matter your skin color. You could be a white person and you will still face discrimination. A black person could also discriminate against you because you are white. It is what it is. That's how the world is. There are people who are handicapped, not of their own making, not of their own making, and they have been discriminated against. Just like the woman who inspired this conversation tonight from Malawi. Imagine she was HIV positive. She opened up to her health status, and it became a problem from our workplace. Even down to religious houses, it became a problem. Nobody wants to stay close to her, even though staying close to her does not mean you are going to contact the virus. They just want to keep her away. Nobody wants to associate with her, and it became traumatizing. She did said all of this led to depression. She became depressed. She almost lost her life as a result. But thank God for His grace and His mercy, she was able to recover. But sadly, there are a lot of persons in the world today that have not been able to recover. Some have lost their lives. Why? Because they were discriminated and they felt nobody wants them. Nobody wants to associate with them. Nobody wants to listen to them. So, and then they pay the ultimate price. Ladies and gentlemen, discrimination is real. How does it feel when you are discriminated against? First on my list, you feel rejected. It means you've been rejected. You feel rejected. You begin to feel lonely. Loneliness creeps in. You feel ashamed. You feel shamed. And then the embarrassment of discrimination, low self esteem, anger, emotional withdrawal. You begin to withdraw. You don't want to participate anymore. That is why, as Safe to Speak, we believe that your voice matters. And our core objective is to give voice to the voiceless. That's why we are opening this door to conversations like this. Because we believe your voice matters. So if you have been discriminated against, just know that you are not alone. Safe to Speak is with you. We are standing by you. We are standing with you. We're going to work with you. If you want us to do more, send us an email, safe to speak initiative at gmail.com. Trust me, you'd never be alone. We will stand with you. So imagine someone is being discriminated against and the person felt rejection, begins to feel lonely, shame, embarrassment, low self-esteem, anger, emotional withdrawal, and so on and so forth. Imagine all of this. A lot of persons would not be able to accommodate this, to withstand this. And most persons will begin to think of throwing in the towel, giving up on life. So some persons, they can imagine a young girl that perhaps becomes pregnant out of wedlock and the whole family turn their back on her. Why? Because she became pregnant. What happens? Because of that condition, she's now a rejected person. Wherever she goes, there's this discrimination that happens, rejection. Everyone now feels she's an irresponsible girl and all of that. Everybody does make mistakes. Yes. So imagine all of these effect of discrimination just on one person. So some persons, it will just take God to be able to help them out of the situation. Why to others? They will simply just give up. After all, nobody wants me. Nobody wants me. I've been rejected. I have no one to talk to. And if you have no one to talk to, please be rest assured that you are not alone. That's why we have created this platform to give you voice. And Safe to Speak is a growing platform. It's a platform that is already becoming global. Your voice will not be silenced. Here we would give you voice because you are part of this one big family. Ladies and gentlemen, come on. I understand that most times it's very difficult to handle discrimination. I've been discriminated against very well, very well. At some point, sometimes I just thought I should never get myself involved in certain activities, especially in the place where I was discriminated against. I just want to withdraw. I just want to stay back. I don't want to participate in anything again. I just want to be on my own. That's dangerous. So tonight, where we won't just talk about discrimination, the effect. We want to know how to heal from discrimination. How do we handle discrimination? Do you give up when you are discriminated against? Do you give up? Are you giving up? If you are currently now being discriminated against, are you giving up? Come on. We're going to talk all of how you react, how you handle discrimination. I understand. You may say, Mr. Chris, you have no understanding of my situation. As it is, I'm even more like an invincible person. You may say that. Come on, I do understand. Understand the traumatic experience that comes with discrimination. I do understand. At least from my personal experience, I do understand. From experience shared by a safe to speak family member from Malawi, who, in her case, God helped her because she became depressed. She was at the verge of paying the ultimate price of being discriminated against. But God came through for her. So if tonight you are being discriminated against and you are at that point, at your elastic limit, where you feel nothing else matter anymore, you just want to throw in the towel, I have good news for you. It is not over. You can recover. You can undo it. You can turn that tide around. You can turn that tide around. And I want to believe God and believe the grace at work in Safe to Speak to be able to come through for you, to be able to strengthen you. You would not give up. You cannot give up. I did said in one of our sessions recently, if you are pushed to the ground, don't stay on the ground. You need to stand up. You need to get up. You need to shake the dust off yourself. You need to shake it off. You need to shake it off. I'm repeating this several times because you absolutely need to shake it off. You need to clean up. You need to clean up. And immediately you get up, you don't have to remain on one spot. I usually tell people at that very moment, begin to add value to yourself. Begin to add value to your life. Let me digress a little bit. There's a lady that reached out to Safe to Speak recently. She said she's in a relationship that is very promising. Everything was going fine until this guy stopped taking her calls. She calls, the guy doesn't respond. She texts, the guy doesn't respond. She sent a chat on WhatsApp, and the guy still wouldn't respond. So this was happening for weeks. She could not, and this she's a student. She could no longer participate actively at school. She could no longer read a book. Eating became a problem. At some point, she began to have health issues as a result of this, being rejected by someone. because it's absolutely rejection. She reached out to Safe to Speak and she said, "Sir, I don't know what to do. I'm tired of this life. I'm tired." At this point, Safe to Speak intervened in our issue. And we said, okay, maybe you are not doing it right. This time around, reach out to this guy, send him a message. Since he doesn't take your call, send him another message. Ask him for clarity. Let him be clear with you. If he no longer wants this relationship or whatever, let him be very clear with you. She sent him message, and I told her, oh, all right, wait, don't be anxious. Wait for few days and see if he's going to respond. The guy did not respond. I said, okay, send another message. Send it in this format. She did. I said, okay, wait for another few days. She waited for a few days and the guy didn't respond. And I said, my dear, when you are pushed to the ground, you need to get up. You need to clean yourself up. You need to tidy yourself up. You need to raise your head up to the heavens and say to yourself, I can be very, very important to a lot of persons out there, not just to one person. And I said to her, okay, you are a student? She said, yes. I said, all right, fine. Apart from your studies, what else do you do? And she said, nothing. She just goes to school and come back home. I said, okay, now it's time to begin to add value to yourself. And she asked, how do you mean? I said, I'd like you to learn a skill. She said, oh, a skill. Have you thought of one or a business? She said she would prefer a skill. I said, okay, fine. What do you want to do? She told me, and Safe to Speak was able to come true for her. And she started learning skill. Because one thing rejection and discrimination does, it puts you on a spot where you begin to feel less of yourself. It puts you on a spot where you begin to think that you are not important and you cannot amount to anything. And discrimination, rejection makes people becomes inactive. You begin to withdraw from all the activities that hitherto you ought to have been doing. You begin to withdraw. And that was what happened to her. She became very lonely. She became very lonely. She became idle. I know what idleness does. There's a saying that that's the devil's workshop. Because in that state of rejection, in that state of discrimination, you are now idle. That's the worst of situation anyone could be. Because it's at that point you begin to think of the worst. You begin to think of how just to end it all. The good news is, this lady today, she's doing very well. She has finished learning a skill and she's very busy now. Not talking about that relationship. I said, well, if people reject you, make sure the next time they are going to see you, they should see that you have added value to yourself. You have added value to your life. If an organization rejects you, go and add value to yourself. Go and add value to your life. Sometimes there are some of us that an organization will have to reject you and you decide to set up your own organization and become a competitor. That's how to handle it. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, I'd like to hear from you, okay? I'd like to see your message coming in. Now, what are the common types of discrimination? I will categorize them as follows. Common types of discrimination. One on my list, tribal discrimination, especially from this part of the world, Africa. Tribal discrimination is so prevalent. especially in an organization, in an office, government organization, sometimes in religious houses, and what have you, is tribe. What tribe are you? Everyone wants to hear you speak their own language for you to get a benefit. If you are not speaking that language, if you are not praying, you are not speaking that language, or they don't see you with a kind of identification, if with a kind of identification and that relates to the tribe that they represent, they simply wouldn't give you an opportunity. That's very common in this part of the world, in Africa. Perhaps in other climes too, but I'll speak more of Africa because I'm from Africa, a proud Nigerian. Now, another one on my list is discrimination. Another type of discrimination is that of disabilities, those who are disabled, how people discriminate against. Can you imagine a disabled person going into an office to for a job interview? Most CEOs will not want to consider them because of disabilities, even if they are intellectually mobile and intellectually sound. Even at that, they wouldn't want to give them the opportunity. Why? Because they are disabled. It shouldn't be so. Especially for opportunities that has nothing to do with physical strength, for opportunities that is completely based on intellectual capacity. Everyone should be given an opportunity, and that's the message of Safe to Speak. We want to be able to give voice to the voiceless. So if you are a disabled person, Safe to Speak is rising to be your voice. Interestingly, you could also share your experience. All right. The next aspect I want to talk about is appearance, body shaming. You know, that's another big one. A lot of persons are discriminated because of their body size. They body shame people. I know of a lady who is so blessed with a lot of size, and then everybody don't want to actively relate with her. Why? Because of her size. She goes to an organization for an interview, and then everybody begins to look at with a mindset that no, we can't allow this one to work here. Not as a result of her not qualified or fit for the job. So that's another aspect of uh, discrimination. And then the aspect of class discrimination. It's not my class. She's not my class. She shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be here. Even though you are qualified, even though you should be in that meeting. Earlier on, I spoke about in this part of the world where you are in a community meeting and no one wants to listen to you. Why? Because at your arrival in the venue, perhaps you came in a taxi, not in a flashy car. You don't own a company. You don't own a very vibrant organization. Nobody wants to listen to you, even though you may have the best of ideas. So, class discrimination. And then you have another one, gender stereotypes. We also have that in our society, where based on gender, people are discriminated against. Because it's a guy, he cannot work here. Because it's a lady, she cannot work here. We don't take ladies here. We don't want this. We don't want this to happen, and all of that. And then she's discriminated against. We also have workplace discrimination. I spoke about this earlier. The safe to speak family member from Malawi who was discriminated against as a result of her health status. She eventually had to quit the job as a result, because who wants to be in an environment where you are treated with disdain and rejected, where you are separated from others, where you never felt belong. And then you look at discrimination in homes and families and all of that. The subject of discrimination is so vast. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time. We don't have enough time. I think perhaps subsequently we'll begin to look at other aspects of discrimination. And then discrimination has a lot of consequences. The effect of discrimination cannot be overemphasized. It's so much. It's so terrible, because discrimination is capable of pushing someone to the very extreme of life, where the person begins to feel there's no need for me to be in this world. After all, I'm just alone. Unfortunately, there are a lot of persons who got to that point and weren't able to recover from it. So, effect of discrimination, anxiety. It brings anxiety, depression, as in the case of the Safe to Speak member from Malawi who said she went into depression. She was already losing her life. She was already losing her life. Thank God that God came through for her. Now she's a voice speaking against discrimination, especially due to health status. Now, depression, social isolation, fear of speaking, low confidence. People began to have low self-esteem. You may begin to ask, why do people even discriminate? Sometimes out of ignorance. They discriminate out of ignorance, stereotypes, pride, fear of difference, unhealthy cultural beliefs, especially in this part of the world, unhealthy cultural belief. As a result of cultural belief, you begin to discriminate against someone, you begin to discriminate against a set of persons due to cultural beliefs. And then I think out of pride, people discriminate out of pride. Sometimes out of jealousy, envy, they begin to discriminate. They see that you are promising, you are rising, and then they look for one defect in you or one issue in you, and then they use that against you and begin to discriminate. Ladies and gentlemen, whether we like it or not, discrimination must always happen. How you handle it is what matters. So I acknowledge your presence, everyone joining us at Faith. You are welcome. This is Safe to Speak. If you have not subscribed, subscribe and share this page so that more persons we begin to see it. Here we open doors to honest conversation. And tonight we are talking about discrimination. Why do people, what's discrimination? Why do people discriminate against others? What's the effect of discrimination? and and at this moment we are talking about why people discriminate out of ignorance, pride, jealousy, envy. When you see a promising person rising up, you want to pull that person down through discrimination. Shame on you if you're doing that. What will be. You can suppress somebody, you can discriminate against someone, but the fact is God owns everything. If that person would be above you, there's nothing you can do in this life. You can only try, but that person will always be above you. If you discriminate against anyone, it means you are small. That person is bigger than you. And the God of justice will always make that person bigger than you. Now, as I try to round up, I'd like to leave you with this question. What kind of discrimination do you think hurts people the most? Can you respond in the comment section? How can families and communities do better? How can I want to leave you with these questions? And I hope in our subsequent edition, we are going to look at these things. And then the last one I'll be leaving you with is, have you ever experienced discrimination or an unfair treatment? I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to hear from you. I'd like you to share your experience. Your experience could be helping someone. So when you are discriminated against, how did you react? How were you able to handle it? I'd like to hear from you. So as I close, nobody should feel less human because they are different. You are not God. No one is God. God is God, is above everyone. No human being is God. So you have no right to discriminate against anyone as a result of their health status, where they came from, the color of their skin, as a result of their shape, their body size. You have no right to discriminate against anyone. So that's why I'm advocating for fair treatment to everyone equally as much as possible. You may say what I'm saying is practically impossible to do, but it's very possible. It begins with you. Begins with you and I. One at a time, we'll begin to spread this word. Finally, we will see we'll see how to further this conversation as subsequent edition. But be rest assured that Safe to Speak is available for you. We created this platform for you. If you feel discriminated against, you feel you were shut down because you have no voice, because of your class, because of your skin color, because of your religion, your tribe, where you came from, your country. Sometimes, as Nigerians, we face discriminations abroad, where most times stereotypes. We see what is happening in South Africa, the apartheid in South Africa, xenophobia in South Africa. We see what is happening right now, today. It's happening every day, where South Africans are discriminating against other blacks, especially from Nigeria and other neighboring countries. That's really unfortunate. No one should be discriminated against. From Africa, Africa should be one family, should be one nation, should be one nation. So I'm also at this moment lending my voice to that. South Africans should turn a new leaf. Africa is Africa. Wherever you live in Africa, we are Africans. We should not discriminate against other Africans. If we discriminate against other Africans, how do we expect other nations of the world, in America, in Europe, in Asia, and the rest, to treat Africans? If we in Africa discriminate against ourselves, that's the message from Safe to Speak today to South Africans. And it's my prayer that this word will get to you and we begin to turn a new leaf. If you are discriminating against anyone as a result of their skin color, as I said, their tribe, their religion, the way they pray, the way they dress, please turn a new leaf, and sow good seed for yourself and for your generations unborn. Because whatever you do, it has a way of coming back to you. So let's do good. Let's constantly do good. I'll share a very important thing that happened today. On my arrival, I told us earlier that I'm reaching you from Okpila, a local government in Edo State, Nigeria. The famous Benin City is the capital of Edo State. Now, on my arrival to this community, I went into a pharmacy to get water and some toiletries. A woman, elderly, walked into the pharmacy to get drugs. I was making payment for myself and I asked them, how much is this drug? And they told me the price of the drug is less than $1. So I paid. I paid for mine and paid for the elderly woman. Now, to me, less than $1 is nothing. But to that elderly woman, that's that was like the world to her. And she prayed for me over 5 minutes. She held my hand to pray for me. She touched my feet. She bent down to touch my feet to pray for me, that wherever my feet goes to, she was praying in a local dialect that I don't understand. And someone there was now interpreting it to me. And the person said something very important. The person said, sir, if I can interpret this directly the way she's saying it, you would shed tears on the depth of prayer this woman is giving at this moment. And after that moment, she was going home. I peeped outside the pharmacy and I saw her. She was still lifting up her hands, praying while going. So very good, that's how very important it is to be good. Now, when she walked into the pharmacy, she wasn't looking good. She wasn't smelling nice. I could say, oh, what is I could simply shift and avoid her. I could simply do that because of how she dressed, because she's old, because she's poor. I could simply stay away from her and just allow them to attend to her and let her leave before I continue my transaction. I could simply do that. I could simply discriminate against her as a result of that. But when she walked in, I saw an elderly woman in need. I looked at her like my mother. I never discriminated. Instead, I was there for her and I got her blessings. And that means the world to me now. And I think as a result of our prayers in a lighter mode, I'm kind of shining this evening. As a result of our prayers, I'm kind of shining this evening too, on a lighter mode. But honestly, I could feel the impact of our prayers immediately because that prayer session was intense, was heartfelt, was from our soul. Please, I encourage you to be good out there. Share this session. It's very, very important. More persons need to get to see this. And I hope we're going to have a part two of this conversation. The part two of this conversation, I'll ensure that you get the notification right on time. And please get prepared because I'd like you to contribute to this conversation, every one of you. So, my name is Chris Uloko. This is Safe to Speak. Here we open doors to honest conversations. And please permit me to pray, to say a word of prayer to everyone that is being discriminated against, especially those who have been pushed to the edge, especially those that are gradually drifting into depression, those that have drifted into loneliness, who feel nobody listens to them, no, they are never wanted anymore. I pray for you that God, the God I serve, will strengthen you, that God will come true for you, God will strengthen you, and God will give you grace and strength to be able to pick up yourself, to gather yourself together, dust yourself, clean up yourself, take a good shower, take a deep breath. As I always say at Safe to Speak, as long as you wake up in the morning and the sun still rises in the morning, it means there's still hope for you. So you don't have to give up. The sun still rises every morning, no matter how the night tarries. No matter how severe the darkness of the night is, the sun still rises and it will continue to rise every day. It means there's hope for you. Don't you dare give up. I look forward to hearing stories of your restorations, how you were able to gather yourself and pick up yourself, restored, and then doing well. I look forward to reading your stories, hearing from you, and I look forward to you being part of this session. So I'm sending a direct invitation to you now. If you want to appear in a conversation like this at Safe to Speak, send us an email, safe to speak initiative at gmail.com. Just one word. Safe to speak initiative at gmail.com. Send us an email that you want to be part of Safe to Speak conversation. Just as you are watching me now, you will be live on this show, others watching you and I, and others that want to be part of it. It depends on the number we can accommodate. But send us an email if you want to be part of a conversation like this. Tomorrow, we'll be having an interesting conversation. We'll be talking about mental health amongst parents and children. Very important. Mental health amongst parents and children. It's going to be an interesting conversation. Prepare yourself. You could ask questions. You could make contribution. All you needed to do is to drop it in the comment section. So we'll be meeting same time tomorrow at 8 p.m. Know that I love you. Safe to Speak, love you. And here we open doors to honest conversation. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, 8 p.m. And then we're going to reschedule for the part 2 of discrimination. My God help you. My God help you to get restoration. And my God honor you. God bless you and have a blessed and a fulfilled day. Until I see you tomorrow again. God bless you in Jesus' name. Bye for now.